good quality. Okay, let's get started. Welcome to special regional session. I'm pleased to meet you all at this beautiful and peaceful city, Zaragoza. It's an honor for me to moderate this session, and I'd like to thank the organizer, particularly Josefina, and then co-convener UNESCAP in particular for giving me this opportunity to take chair. My name is Jong Seun of UNOSD, UN Office for Sustainable Development. I'd like to, before we begin, I'd like to introduce myself, my office briefly. My office, UNOSD, is located in Incheon, Republic of Korea, and then it became operational in 2012. And then it is under the UN DESA, Department of Economic and Social Affairs. Our mandate is to support the capacity development of developing countries in terms of sustainable development. Our mandate is quite broad, but specifically we are establishing knowledge management. We are hosting some events like Sustainable Development Transition Forum. Also, we are providing advisory service to the member states, particularly developing countries. So I hope we can have the chance to meet all of you in Incheon someday. Well, as you know well, the draft of SDGs is waiting to be approved at the UN General Assembly in coming September. Once it is adopted, it will shape the post-2015 planetary effort towards sustainable development. International community will endeavor to achieve the new global goal, SDGs, from next year in order to achieve by 2030. All countries will mainstream the sustainable development goals into their national strategies for the implementation. Water and sanitation is one of the 17 goals, goal 6, as discussed. Water and sanitation is the basic need for humankind. Therefore, international community should provide the solution for securing the clean drinking water and safe sanitation infrastructure as soon as possible for the sustainable development of the globe. The Asia-Pacific region, in which around 40% of the world population live, is experiencing the fastest economic growth as well as water challenge accordingly. In this respect, I would say this region is economically fast but environmentally vulnerable. Therefore, Asia and Pacific region politically, so we will identify the gaps and solutions. Let me tell you the modality of our session briefly. There will be an overview presentation, and after that, we will have a panel discussion. Panelists will make general comments to the overall overview presentation or short presentations to case study of their own individual countries. After that, we will have Q&A session. We invited 5 distinguished experts. We have 1 overview presenter and 4 panelists with a lot to say on challenges and responses on water issues. Okay, let's get started without further delay. First is the overview presentation by Mr. Hong.
Thank you, Dr. Yong. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great pleasure to share about the Asia-Pacific overview for water security and sustainable development. So since Dr. Yong said I have about 25 minutes, I will just use this mainly go through what are the major challenges in Asia-Pacific for water, and also some of the tools we are using to address these water security issues in Asia-Pacific. Dr. Yong just remind me if I go beyond the 25 minutes. I don't want to use the others' time. So I think I'll just mainly use this time to go through the few issues in Asia Pacific. The first is about the climate change impacts and also disaster risks and also the water and the sanitation issues. And secondly, some of the emerging focus like water security, the water, food, and energy access, and also some tools to address the integrated water resources management in Asia and Pacific. So most of you probably already aware in Asia Pacific where this is like the region with the largest population and also the faster economic growth. Actually, Asia is the driest continent compared to the other continent in the world. So the water availability of the fresh water is less than half of the global annual average of 6,000 cubic meters per capita. So Asia's rivers, lakes, and aquifers give it per capita less than 1/10 of the water of South America, or Australia and New Zealand, less than 1/4 of North America, almost 1/3 of Europe, and moderately less than even Africa. So today, the most dynamic Asia, so these are the only few countries with the exception only for this. So if you look at this address, if I take just two sectors to give you some kind of impression, like the idea how these kind of challenges, like the water stress challenges, first of all, like the irrigated agriculture. If you see, this is really a kind of baseline for the water stress. And if you look at these kind of scenarios for the 2025, based on the IPCC, you will see most of the countries with actually increase the stress for the irrigated agriculture. And the overland of the irrigation crops on changes in water stress, especially in Southeast Asia, 75% of the irrigated crops will see water stress. And another sector is about the power generation. If you look at this baseline, you will see most of the power plant is located in the coastal areas and also the Southeast Asian countries. 55% of the Southeast Asian countries' current power plant actually designed. We see the water stress now, 2 to 8 times compared to the average of the global level. So the significance of the climate change, if you look at this kind of the reasons, especially for the changes in quantity of flow, will affect this kind of design sizing of the infrastructure. Especially for agriculture sector, you have to think about the irrigation, different kind of the designs and the infrastructures of the irrigation systems, and also the existing operations and the maintenance for the water-related systems, like flood control and also the irrigation, to provide more water for agriculture, and also the impacts for shifting raining patterns. This is really affected the planting season, and also the drought needs to be avoided. And also the extreme and the recurring flood and the droughts. If you look at these years, in many of the Asian countries, we have severe kind of floods and droughts. It's really unprecedented in many of the countries. And also it brings the health implications and also some of the socio-economic kind of impacts. This is really the disaster. If you look at the typhoon, which is actually the frequency of the typhoon, it's much more compared to the past. Almost most of the annual average exposure to tropical cyclones is concentrated in North and Southeast Asia. Exposure is growing most rapidly in all other regions with an increase of almost 2.5 times since 1970s. So except in Pacific. So I think most of the Asian continent is in the severe kind of increase of the frequency of typhoon and cyclones. and also more and more people in the region are getting exposed to hazards. Many urban locations in the high-risk area. If you look at this map, you will see of the 300 and more than 300 and urban agglomerations, 119 are located along the coastlines, which is really close to this kind of area, which is flood prone and also lots of thunderstorms. Most of the large losses is in the middle income and the developed area, because most of these coastlines, the urban and city areas and the industrial areas, so the losses is much higher than other parts of the region. If you see these economic losses in 2011, tools to measure how the water security in Asian Pacific. So I will talk a little bit more later on when we talk about the tools, how we use the tools to measure the water security in different countries. And also for water security, when we talk about this, there are a lot of different views. Even the definition of water security is not very clear, and different organizations or different countries have different perceptions for water security. And under the UN Water Framework, SCAP is working with the United Nations University to lead this task force about the working definition of water security. Actually, I use this the working definition here just to see how at the UN Water Framework how we define this water security, and which mean mainly to provide the same kind of definition when we talk about water security. It's the capacity of a population to safeguard sustainable access to adequate quantities of acceptable quality water for sustaining livelihood, human well-being, and socio-economic development, for ensuring protection against waterborne pollution and water-related disasters, and for preserving ecosystems in a climate of peace and political stability. So this is where we just use this definition, and the societies can enjoy water security when they successfully managing their water resources and services to satisfy the household water and the sanitation needs in all countries and the communities, and support the productive economies in agriculture, in agriculture, industry, and energy. To also develop vibrant, livable cities and towns, and restore healthy rivers and ecosystems, and also build a resilient community that can adapt to change. Security, environmental security, and the last one is resilience to water-related disasters. So this is the level or the grade. How can you measure this kind of different dimensions? From 1 to 5, actually 5 is most secure kind of stage, and 1 is really the worst stage, from hazard to engaged to capable, effective, and model. So based on this kind of indicators we did for Asia and the Pacific, and the national water security in Asia Pacific, you will see most of the country at level 2 and 3. So more than 75% of the countries in Asia and Pacific are experiencing a serious lack of water security. And 37 countries are either suffering from low levels of water security, or have barely begun to engage in the essential task of improving water security. And also 12 countries have established the infrastructure and the management systems for water security. So this is really a kind of a quantitative analysis for the water security in different countries in Asia and the Pacific. And also under this, we from SCAP, we worked together with the ADB to develop this household water security index. This is really the household water security as one of the 5 dimensions within the water security framework. And the security of household water is necessary to assist in achieving global goals of eradicating poverty and encouraging further economic and social development. I think this is really how the household level water security is very important for the whole society. And this household water security index actually allows for an assessment of the extent to which countries are meeting household water and sanitation needs and improving hygiene for public health. And also which include what are the benefits to use this household water security index and how you use it. And this is actually the results. The index allow you can categorize different scales and use this method. The countries actually have been accordingly ranked equally in the 3 following categories. One is about water access. Second one is about sanitation access. And third one is daily diarrhea. It's mainly, to do this kind of assessment for water supply and sanitation and hygiene. When added up, the 3 scores for each country created the overall kind of household water security index. And the smaller, the better. So you will see these different countries with a different level with this household water security index. And this is a map to show how the whole region, Asia Pacific, to address this kind of through this methodology. This is in 2002, and this is in 2010. So you can see the changes. Actually, many countries improved their household water security along this process. So how we just address this water security, I think come back to the topic to address the water security towards the sustainable water management. I think really it's about the political consensus through this regional cooperation. I think for the last session, there are a lot of discussions about regional cooperation for water security and also to address water resources management. So in Asia Pacific, actually, there are many different kind of platforms we discuss about regional cooperation. In the year 2013, there's a second Asia Pacific Water Summit hosted by Thai government. The outcome is the Chiang Mai Declaration, which mainly emphasized how regional cooperation can address the water security, and also at the same time how this kind of regional and international cooperation will support the sustainable development through integrated water resources management, how the water security can be addressed through regional cooperation, and also depend on the context from different sub-regions, different approach will be taken. So this is exactly what we are doing now for the integrated water resources management at the national level and the local government level, and also municipal government level, municipality level, as well as different stakeholders to be involved to develop this kind of strategy for integrated water resources management based on the water systems to support like water security, water reuse, stormwater management, ecosystem kind of maintenance, and also cross-sector like.
Yes, please, gentlemen over there. I hear we have here one.
Thank you very much for that really very interesting presentation, Mr. Liu. I very much like your emphasis on water security, but I have a little bit of a worry in what you presented. A very wise man some years ago told me that my security is the security of others. And you listed 5 securities which are inward-looking. They're all looking into the nation or into the place we're talking about, which puts the whole debate of water security at a national level. And
you have some good experience from Europe which can be replicated in Asia Pacific. That's really the area we should address. I think this is really the good question we think about for the future. We should do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to take one more question because of time constraint.
Thank you. It will be very quick. I come from Myanmar, and I'm the secretary of the expert group, which supports the National Water Resources Committee. That is an apex body. My question is, when you rank all these household water security ranking, which data are you using? And of course, for the time constraint, I would also give some input that I would very much like the UN to use the credential organization's data, which is something like NWRC certified data. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. I think this is the challenge always we are facing for the water sector. There's no really, like what you said, the credential kind of sources to use the data from either the national level or the regional level. That's also we want, probably with the member countries' support, how to improve this kind of more kind of reliable data for energy sector. But for water sector, currently we still didn't figure out what will be the best way. But currently we use the data which is mostly available from either UN statistics or from our own statistics in ASCAP. We have a statistics division, so we use mostly this data. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the other panelists. Because of time constraint, we will hear only 5 minutes each, taking turn. After that, we will have Q&A session altogether. First speaker is Mrs. Jangya Triroit, Director of Technology and Standard Division, Ministry of Natural Resources and the Environment, Thailand. Please. And then Mrs. Triroit has more than 30 years of experience in water engineering and water management, including water supply as well as wastewater treatment system. She has been working as a government official since 1983. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to express my sincere thanks for the organizer for inviting me to this special session, UN conference. So my presentation will be about the case of Thailand, where we are now doing the strategy plan. And then this is a national level, and then I will go to one local case study. And then later on, my colleague will present her another case study. So this is the relevant issue area is IWRM, Integrated Water Resource Management. From Water Security Framework, 5 key dimensions. Yes, so we have identified, the first one is water for domestic use, including drinking water. In rural area of Thailand, well, it's not covered with quantity is not enough, and then also the many area the quality is still under standard. Second is water for irrigation. It's only cover 20% of total irrigated area. And the third is water for urban and water for urban city. More water to be supplied for urbanization, expansion, demand for business and industry use. And the fourth is water for economic development. Well, higher demand is needed in the future. And lastly, water for ecosystem and pollution control. It's only few river basins are able to allocate water for ecosystem. For example, the Chao Phraya River and Mekong River, which is in the central part of Thailand. The reason is that because there are dams, multi-purpose dams to regulate the flow in the river. What we are doing now with the government. Yes. I'm sorry, this is I missed one slide, but anyway, this is the latest. Sorry, I missed one slide. It's okay. Anyway, yes. We have still in Thailand, as many countries, a fragmented sectorial authority and agency. So to doing the integrated for strategy plan, we have to involve all the agency. And then with the concept of IWRM, we consider related water resource and forest and land. And in the context of the river basins. And with the problem of traditional supply management, we focus on technical solution, consider isolate project. Now we are moving to integrated project budgetary. And we also include the participation of stakeholders in all levels, the River Basin Committee and network. So basically, the conceptual framework water management plan preparation process, we have identified problems, clearly where and when and magnitude and frequency and impact, and then the cause of the problems, and identify strategic measure, both structural and non-structural, and grouping the tactic, and then come for short-term and long-term solution. So I think within this month, the government will announce the water management strategic plan. It's on the way for final draft of the report, and that the water management strategic plan come into 5 sections. First is the rehabilitate upstream area and landslide protection. For example, forestation and early warning system for people who live in a mountain area where it's often of flood and landslide, which cause life and loss of property of the people. And second is the shortage of water supply system. Within 2 years, this is a new policy that within not more than 4 years, we want to have, the government want to install all the water supply project in every village, hopefully. The third is protection and evaluate flood disaster. This one is driven from 2011 massive flood in Thailand, with World Bank estimate 1.5 billion baht loss and damage. 1 baht, 34 baht is equal to 1 euro. And the fourth is the protection and solving water quality problems. Install the wastewater treatment plant involving the local government project. And lastly is the fifth is the increasing efficiency of water management. This is to institutional and legal framework, i.e. water law. We don't have water law yet in Thailand. Probably Myanmar go forward our law. We have proposed the first draft water law 15 years ago, and then it gets stuck with the political change and something. And then now it's time to we propose it, but I think this is under consideration of the involved parliament. And I think that is for national level. Now I move to the a case study. This is a local case study. It's the area called Bung Khong Long. It's a wetland, and it's the Lamsa site 1098. This project, probably some of you may heard about it, but for me, I just know about it this project last year. And this project is near Mekong River. So MRC, Mekong River Commission, support the climate change vulnerable assessment. And that, I think that the beginning of the awareness of the people. Yes, and the mechanism is really the networking, regulation from the stakeholder and the villagers, participation, and it's interesting thing is that they have social sanction rather than the fee for people who violate the regulation. And this is some picture of the focus group and meeting in the area. And this is for when people in many very local area want to protect forest and tree, they involve the monk. This is about religious and wisdom of the local. Last slide, I want to mention one person. She is a woman who are very active. She is the former mayor of one small municipality in the province. And she's now the head of the working group Bưng Khổng Lũng project. And I met her very one time I met her, but I really want to, if I have later somebody want me to present this project. She is an amazing person because she fight a lot for saving the wetland, the lake. Previously, the lake was deteriorate, and she bring people around the lake. The lake is about 18 village into sub-district, and she have to go by village, ask for cooperation, and then it's successfully. I mean, in the meantime, but she need more of the support. Yes, and this is one of the case study that I want to share the lesson learned. About the leadership of this woman and the capacity building to the community level, that they must know that they must know how and why and how to protect their water resources, and they will have the benefit sharing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jang Nya. You can have a seat. Yeah. Okay, thank you for introducing very interesting case study of Thailand. Yeah, even one voice can change the world. It is the important for one leader in the village. Okay, I'd like to invite next speaker, Napawan, and then she will share the PowerPoint material with the previous speaker because they are from same country. Okay, she is a lecturer of School of Administrative Studies, Metro University, Thailand. She has a profound experience in case research for food safety, water supply for agriculture and smart village, etc. You have the floor. 5 minutes, please.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. My slide, my presentation will continue from Director Chanya, but this is the small case study that I can apply from global vision to local action. We will talk about the the electric generating Authority of Thailand. We call in the short name as IGAT. It's located in Mae District, Lampang Province, in the northern part of Thailand. My workplace is in the northern, not in the center of Thailand. So we have many cases of the upstream water leakage, and maybe in the water resource problem of lacking water and the contaminant of waters. This is the picture of the power plant that is established in Lampang for 30 years ago, and they always have the. Okay, can be the first one first. Yeah, they have a lot of environment issue in Myanmar for a long time. They have a lot of conflict, and people don't believe that the water is clean enough for drinking, for consumption, and they lack of water in agriculture also. So we do one research project. The title name is System and Mechanism Development by Participation of Community Nearby Myanmar Power Plant in Water Supply for Agriculture and Consumption. This is the location of the case study that we have some our research with community and villager there. We call sub-district Bandong, 2 villages that we work with people. There are about 8 villages, and people is about 4,500. About 55% they are farmers, and they're growing rice, which they need water. But because of they locate nearby the power plant, they don't believe that the water clean enough for drinking and use in their house. So they always buy and they use the rainwater and saving by this. You see the. Sorry, I cannot. Okay. No, I just want. Use the poison here. Okay. So they use the big jar to save their water like this, like the local wisdom. And this, the picture below is the tank for water for drinking. But they don't drink. Right now they buy the water from outside. So we do 2 pilot projects. The first one is water supply for agriculture in 1 village. And the second pilot project is water supply for drinking water by, this is the picture that they do together with us. We, as a university, we always integrate of our mission like teaching, research, and academic service with people, with the community nearby. So this is only the example. They do with us, and they save the water for their agriculture and for drinking water. This is the last one that we do for them. And not only our work, they work with us also. What we do, we survey. We try to have our students go to the village and learn with the community and the leader. We invite in 8 villages. All the leaders work with us. We bring them to another province to study, to learn with other villages who can work and share the case study that they success, like this one. Sorry. The first one, you can see this. Oh, sorry, I have to show that. So yeah, this one, the leader go together to Chiang Rai province. We see the other university from Engineer Without Border who work in the community, in rural community for drinking water. And also the leader and some volunteer work with our students in their area, in their sub-district, to know how many water source in their community. Finally, we found that about 45 water resource that they have in each village. And this is like the GIS, GPS, that we work with them and put the information for their community to use in the future. Not only that, we work with the youth. The youth in the village, they learn with us about how we examine the water quality, and they learn with the, like Director Chanya work with monk, but this one work with the Christian church. So we use the people, every part of village, include the government and in national level and local level. The committee working together every month to develop and try to use the technical. We found that drinking water is always related to technical and social support and network management. So we work together until now. So let me make a conclusion like this. The pilot project working, we led by the leaders and the working group. We focus on 4P. I always use 4P in my project. The first one is promoting education. We work, we teach, and we do research and academic service with all levels, like adult and youth. For public policy, the second P is public policy cycle. We think that the important thing is monitoring and evaluation, and people must be participate in every process, in every step of public policy. The third one is public hearing. From the picture, you can see that every month, people and leader and working committee work together and invite everyone who are interested to know what happened in their village, what they have, and what is the new knowledge that they could know, to make more understanding between them. The last one is people participation. Sometimes people understand that the most important thing is participation, but we try to let them know more about the environment governance, that more than participation, such as the local regulation. Some villages have their own law, village law, we call village law, the rule of use the water and use the food. They have the forest, but they don't have the right in their land. But they can find out the food for it and to save, use the water for their what we call farmers, for their farms. So my conclusion for the for my case, sorry, I forget to let you know that the technique is we use the slow sand filter. We call the short one is SSF. Put to let them make the filter for water supply for their drinking. But we advise them that the water may be not, to make sure that it's clean enough, they could boil it before drinking. But the villager right now, they always drink from the tank when after filtering. They use the SFS for drinking water, and they learn how to maintain the operations. Anyway, we think that it can be developed more by themselves, and they learn that this way they can save the cost of living. They don't need to buy the water from outside anymore. Yeah, I think from now. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Lapawan. Okay, I would like to invite next speaker, Dora. Please, to the point, 5 minutes, please. She is the chair of Philippine Water Partnership.
Thank you very much. Buenos dias. Gracias, Mr. Chair. Before I go to my presentation, I'd like to comment on the presentation of Hong Teng on water security and the water, food, and energy nexus. In the Philippines, I'm glad to know that you are also debating on water, the definition of water security, because when we started coming up with a water security plan, we started with defining what is water security, and we had a long debate of what the definition. And we're happy to know that, well, it's not final on your end, it's not final on our end, but we're already doing, our plan based on the framework of UN. On the water energy nexus, food nexus, we also want everybody to know that with the PWP, we organized a forum on water and energy departments, national departments involved in water and energy, and also the operators and all the stakeholders in March last year during the World Water Week. And we came to know that it was the first time that this group, grouped together, talked together about the issues on water and energy, and we have the same issues and concerns, and we need to be connected. But after that, no more. So I think with this regional cooperation, with this work being done by the UN and the global organizations, we can also be guided on how we go about coming up with these programs. So now my topic is about capacity development for sustainable development in the Philippines. This is one area I'm tasked to present, which is more on water for all. To give you a big background of the Philippines, we are actually divided into 3 island groups, and I want to focus more on the number of municipalities that we have. We have 1,491 municipalities, and the program that I am about to share is about giving water to these municipalities. the framework, the basis of coming up with this program was still the MDG, number 7. And with that MDG, we came up with the Philippine Development Plan incorporating one of the area which is on water, which is we wanted to provide water by 2016 to half of the total population. And we came up with a roadmap, which is universal access to water by 2025. So that is actually almost aligned to the SDG. What is this project that the government is implementing? This is the Salin Tubig. It is in Tagalog, Sagana at Ligtas na Tubig sa Lahat na program, which is Salin Tubig or abundant and safe water for all. This is provision of water to 435 municipalities and 226 who are non-waterless municipalities. We have the criteria: low water access, high waterborne diseases, and high poverty incidence. So the components are divided into two: capacity development and infrastructure investment. The first phase, which is the capacity development, that is one that is already being done. Some are completed, and now we are already going to the investment portion. To sustain the project, the strategy is to ring-fence LGU, local government water utility accounts, meaning in the water provision for local government is included in the budget of the local government, but it is not separated to be just for water. It is for the general use. So the ring fencing was done already, and then there has been an LGU economic enterprise that was formed. Local ordinances sometimes is necessary for it to be implemented. The tariff also is included in for it to be sustainable. It has to be following a cost recovery method. Attendance O&M training, preparing of O&M plan, and preparing of water safety plan. There is all the trainings that are being given to them, and I think that is one area where they are looking at improving the capacity building tools in implementing in the LGUs. Second one is the quality of work. They wanted to have this infrastructure. They started it, but then the quality of work is a little bit, substandard. The monitoring is not very good. Well, that's second. And then the third one is ability.
Thailand has adopted IWRM, Integrated Water Resource Management, which national level we have the National Water Resource Committee and the BWRC established since 1988, and
full speed. We cannot avoid the urbanization. However, in case of rural areas, for example, long water pipes are needed because all the houses and buildings are dispersed. So this demands more energy because we need more pressure for delivering water. And then sometimes most of the water leaks under the ground. So how can the current institutional framework overcome the gaps in the provision of services in rural areas and smaller municipalities? How to draw the focus away from the big urban settlements to smaller communities? Would you shed your light, please?
I think, well, in the Philippines, we have to define first what is considered as rural and small communities. Because when they came up with this program, access to the poor, they consider those with water districts are not already considered in the project. But if you look at the coverage of the water districts, some covered only 50%. And what happens to the other 50% of the area, which is considered also rural? So one model is that for those who are already in the water district, which is government, to also help those who are in the rural areas in terms of provision of water. Then Secondly, is that looking at coming up with an inventory of what are really the areas that do not have access to water. It is not only just giving the pipelines to them, but really, if we're going to have a national plan for water for all, come up with an inventory of where the communities who do not have access to water are, what are the situation, and do they have source of water, and if it is contiguous, they can lump it into one project wherein the government can,
among other major issues of means of implementation, how to mobilize the fund, how to finance the required amount of budget is very critical. Since the last September climate change summit in New York, member states pledged more than $10 billion for the GCF. Is quite positive since it starts now, it starts move. The developing countries have high expectations on GCF's role or the ODA.
It's very possible. Thank you of the foreign aid. Like the other industry area, the investment in the water work require activity and economic investment. So this effort have been contribute to the technology development and job creation, either or in direct or indirectly. Also, I'd like to comment one more thing is that we need to know the careful investment and the efficient operation management system.
Thank you. Just shortly, as I told you before, that the important thing is education. So learning by doing together will create more understanding, especially for.
Maybe actually I don't want